The ensemble cast for Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi is a healthy mix of familiar faces and returning favorites, but one name stands out above all others. Hayden Christensen is making an unexpected return to the franchise, reprising the role of Darth Vader 15 years after Revenge of the Sith and serving as a major antagonist in the Disney Plus series. Christensen's performance as Anakin Skywalker has always been divisive at best. However, hearing that familiar is great news for anyone eager to learn about this lost period in Obi-Wan and Anakin's lives. Not only is this a second chance for Christensen to make Darth Vader his own, it may very well solve a decades-old Star Wars mystery and tie up a major loose end from Return of the Jedi. Disney's gotten a surprising amount of mileage out of using new Star Wars projects to address old plot holes and unanswered questions about the movies. Marvel's current volume of Star Wars alone has done everything from canonizing Luke's yellow lightsaber to revealing how Luke managed to recover his X-Wing from Cloud City. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series has the potential to address a much bigger and more crucial loose end from Return of the Jedi. It's been pointed out that there's something very odd about Vader's conversation with a newly captured Luke on Endor. Luke insists some trace of Anakin Skywalker still remains, to which Vader responds,
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
But how does Vader actually know Obi-Wan felt that way? When we last see the two together in Revenge of the Sith, a despondent Obi-Wan leaves his fallen friend to slowly burn to death. When they meet again in A New Hope, Obi-Wan gives no indication he thinks Vader is capable or deserving of redemption. And to Vader, Obi-Wan is simply an enemy to be vanquished, and one more tether to his old life to be severed. So, why in Return of the Jedi does Vader suddenly have this newfound insight into Obi-Wan's motivations? The answer, it would seem, is that the two had another fateful encounter in between the two trilogies. Having had years to meditate and reflect, Obi-Wan probably has far more perspective on his pupil's tragic downfall. He understands how Anakin became corrupted and knows the Emperor can't have entirely eradicated the goodness within Darth Vader. When they do finally reunite in the series, whether that occurs in person or through some sort of Rey, Kylo Ren style Force communion, we may see Obi-Wan try to reason with Vader and reawaken Anakin Skywalker. Obviously, he's not going to be successful, but we may come to realize the events of the series mark the first step in Anakin Skywalker's long journey back toward the light. While Obi-Wan's appeals will fall on deaf ears in the series, they'll resonate enough with the Dark Lord of the Sith that he relays them to Luke years later. If Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi is nothing more or less than the story behind Vader's cryptic words to Luke in Return of the Jedi, it's a story well worth telling. And it's one that can only be told by bringing Hayden Christensen back to the fold and showcasing the frail, wounded man beneath the armor.
I sense a trap.
Next move?
Spring the trap.
Christensen's casting of course implies we're going to see an awful lot of Darth Vader in the series, likely both in and out of his ebony armor. After all, why bother bringing Christensen back if we're not going to see Anakin's face? It's not as if he was recruited to play Vader in Rogue One. We may even see the series borrow a page from Marvel's Darth Vader comics and show Anakin's mental self-image as he meditates. That does raise a lot of questions about how the series is supposed to fit into the larger Star Wars mythos. As far as the movies would have us believe, Anakin and Obi-Wan don't have another encounter in between their duel on Mustafar and their rematch aboard the Death Star. Why would they? Obi-Wan's one mission during this entire 19-year period is to keep a low profile and guard young Luke. The last thing he wants is to put himself on Vader's radar again. That all being said, it's not as though there's anything in the movies explicitly ruling out the possibility of another meeting between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And based on the trailers for Obi-Wan Kenobi, we know that he goes on the run from Vader's Sith Inquisitors and is ultimately captured and brought before the Dark Lord of the Sith. Funny how that never came up on the Death Star.
We meet again at last.
When Vader first detects Obi-Wan's presence aboard the Death Star, he muses,
I sense something, a presence I've not felt since...
Conveniently, he stops short of naming the place and time. Since the release of Episode 3, fans have naturally assumed Vader was reflecting on the Mustafar duel, but apparently we were wrong. If there's one thing past Star Wars TV projects have excelled at, it's dancing between the raindrops of the movies to tell new stories. The Clone Wars gave us a revived Darth Maul and Anakin's Padawan Ahsoka Tano, without violating anything that happens in Episode 3. A lost Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader story set between Episodes 3 and 4 is hardly out of the question. If anything, the emphasis on Darth Vader should be taken as a good sign for the series. Previous Obi-Wan stories set in this era, most notably John Jackson Miller's 2013 novel Star Wars Kenobi, have taken a fairly small-scale approach. They're basically space westerns set on Tatooine. But with Vader in the picture, we can expect a much bigger conflict with a more tangible impact on the Star Wars timeline. Something is going to compel Obi-Wan to leave the safety of his new home and venture back out into the galaxy, even if it means risking the notice of his former Padawan. Unfinished business from the Clone Wars? The emergence of other new Jedi? Whatever it is, it's going to capture Vader's notice.
We lost something.
Not to worry, we are still flying half a ship.
There's been a massive cultural shift when it comes to the Star Wars prequels in recent years, with many fans reevaluating these critically divisive films and their place in the larger Star Wars canon. There are all sorts of reasons behind that trend. For some, they've simply improved with age and the nostalgia factor. For others, less than thrilled with Disney's execution of the sequel trilogy, the prequels might seem less offensive by comparison. And for those younger fans who were children when the prequels were coming out, in other words, George Lucas's actual target audience, they may not understand what all the outrage was about in the first place. Though, perhaps more than anything else, it's thanks to projects like Star Wars: The Clone Wars that fans are now able to see the prequels in the best possible light. As we've argued before, The Clone Wars has effectively redeemed the prequels, adding in all the depth and nuance that was absent in the films themselves. They may be fundamentally flawed in a number of ways, but these movies have their place in the larger Star Wars saga. The same holds true for Christensen's performance as Anakin. While every bit as flawed as the movies themselves, there are moments in Episode 2 and 3 where Christensen does perfectly embody the torment and temptation of a promising young Jedi courted by darkness. And in Christensen's defense, there were any number of external factors working against him during production. We doubt anyone could have made the wooden romantic dialogue between Anakin and Padme seem truly genuine.
I don't like sand.
And it's hard to bring your A game to a project where the sets are often little more than empty blue backgrounds waiting to be filled in with CG environments and characters. Is it any wonder Christensen's Anakin and Natalie Portman's Padme often seem so stiff and awkward around each other? Putting aside the simple pleasure of seeing McGregor back in Obi-Wan's dusty boots, this series is a chance for Christensen to hit the reset button and try again at bringing this iconic, tragic character to life. This time, his performance won't be constrained by impossible fan expectations or Lucas's idiosyncratic storytelling choices. With the pressure gone and a new director behind the camera, Christensen may just surprise us all and be the true highlight of Obi-Wan Kenobi. For anything else about Star Wars or Obi-Wan Kenobi, be sure to subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.